Prepare for a fusion of knowledge and exhilaration where education and excitement collide.
Taking you on an adventure that expands your mind and speaks to your spirit.
I'm Master Nick.
I'm Lady Dee.
We are the Dom Life.
This podcast contains sexually explicit topics and adult content.
It is intended for listeners 18 and older.
The opinions expressed in this podcast are ours alone, based on our personal thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
We understand that others may have different opinions and experiences, and we respect that. We would love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at www.thedomlife.com. And we are back for another episode.
You sound a little bit tired there, Master Nick.
I am a little bit tired. I don't know why I would be tired. It's not like we didn't get in at, 3 o'clock in the morning.
I think it was a little bit earlier than that, maybe just a tad bit.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. But by the time we got in and got a bite to eat and kind of chilled for a little bit, it was after 3 before I think we went to bed.
That is correct. But here we are doing our podcast, letting you all know about this amazing, epic event.
Oh, it was an awesome turnout for Club Tempted last night.
Awesome. I mean, this is next level. Over 400 people.
And it was packed last night for sure.
Sardines. We're talking sardines. Good thing it's a lifestyle club and people like being close to each other.
Yeah. It was definitely, it was hard to walk anywhere on the main floor dance area, anywhere. It was packed. It was hitting somebody. It felt like a ping pong ball trying to walk through there, sometimes bouncing off of people.
And the craziest part is that you just didn't recognize anyone. Like people that you see all the time because of the costumes.
Yep.
We had no idea. One of our friends comes running up, gives me a big hug, and I'm like, hi.
Right.
And he had a makeup of one of the characters of Beetlejuice. And I literally was like, I don't know who you are.
Right. So just in case you're still wondering, we did attend Club Tempted's Halloween Boo Bash last night.
It is off the chain.
They went all out for it.
And you have to understand, when we say all out, we're talking from one night to the next. So every bit of this Halloween, they've had massive decorations up.
Yes.
Which we didn't get a picture of.
For Friday, we didn't.
No. And then Saturday,
it all changed.
One night.
It all changed.
They changed it all. So they wanted to go from Halloween spooky to the Psycho Circus.
Yes. Now, normally in the past years, they would add to it each week. So they would start off October starting their Halloween theme, and then each weekend would add another piece and add another piece up until
decorations,
up until their Halloween event. However, this year, after speaking with John and Tanya, the managers of Club Tempted, they really wanted to throw everybody off their game. So they did do that. They started off adding more pieces and more pieces to their decorations. And then Friday night, after
they took it all down.
After the club ended Friday night, everything got changed, rearranged. We had new props that people hadn't seen before. And of course, it was, like you said, Psycho Circus. So they had it set up like a circus theme. But I'm telling you, the decorations, John and Tanya, you all go way above and beyond the expectations of a Halloween party.
And all of our listeners get to meet them through us next week.
Yep, we'll be dropping their episodes. We did get a chance to finally sit down with them, get to know them a little bit more, find out more about themselves and the club. So that will be coming up in the next 2 weekends. We'll have 2 parts to their interview.
Because we did the interview in advance, one of the nice things is we got to speak to them, and we got a sneak peek of the event night, last night. Gosh, I'm so tired. We got to get a sneak peek of it and enter in before others arrive so we could actually take some photographs, which are going to be on our website.
We have several pictures, that we took Yes, we was able to get there early. They did kind of give us an early access into the club while the staff were in the process of taking pictures. We got there, they were doing group photos and their own photos. So we was able to walk around, take pictures of all the decorations, get everything ready for our website.
They had set up, so it's HHH Photography.
Yes.
And they were set up in the back too, and they took pictures of everyone all night long. We didn't make it back out there because, man, it was epic.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you come in the back of Club Tempted because there's more privacy. It's where you park. So they just have you walk up their back porch, and then there's an entrance area. So explain that for the listeners here.
Well, it all started at like 6:30 when we was exiting the club from getting our pictures to go back to our vehicle. I still had to finish getting into my wardrobe, but there was already a line formed at 6:30. So you pull in, the security guards point you in the direction of where you're to park at. You know, they had special parking set up because they was expecting such a big crowd.
And it was such a big crowd.
And then you enter, like you said, through the back porch. The security guards check, make sure you are supposed to be there. You have your tickets. You go up, you walk up the steps, and then you go and then you actually check in. They scan your ticket. They give you a wristband. And then from there, everything was transformed into the circus. But not even,
that's wrong. Let's back it up. Because when we walked up, it was transformed. They had skeletons hung out there. They had on the wall, they had the ticket booth looking old school for the circus posted up on the walls. And when you entered in the door, we took pictures out there where it looked like a big mouth.
Yep.
Like you're entering in the clown's mouth.
Yep. So we will definitely have all these pictures up for everybody to see on our website. Make sure and check it out because it was great.
In fact, there was a skeleton that was puking some green nasty goo, and you helped them out.
Yeah, I had to assist him a little bit there. make sure he didn't miss that barrel he was going in.
That picture will be up too.
Yeah, we'll make sure and have that on there as well.
So we entered into the club. And once we got in, of course, it's dark and all of the glow lights are on. They're UV reactive lights. So everything is glowing.
Yep.
It was amazing.
Yep. They had brand new decorations for the dance floor. All of that was new and different.
Bigger than life-size clowns.
Yeah, they had them back towards the bar area.
They had the two where the big Ents were before. Not Ents, the tree.
I took all the pictures and I honestly don't remember.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back. I will have to go to our website and check out these pictures myself because although I took them, everything's still kind of a blur.
Oh my gosh. That's what happens when you go to an epic party.
But they did have, what would you call it, the big top, which is like the circus tent roof. They had that strung up from the ceiling over the dance floor.
Yes.
Where normally they have a big projector screen showing videos and stuff and everything. They had taken it down to put up this big tent.
They were a bunch of silks that they laid up so that it looked like the top of a tent in there. And then they always suspend stuff from the ceiling. So depending on what the theme is, they have different things. And last night it was all these little circus skeletons doing ring acts and stuff like that.
Right.
It was amazing. You can hear our voices are trashed.
Yeah. We're just a little rundown.
Gosh, it was crazy. So then they had decorations on every wall. They had
many decorations on every wall.
Yes, and you're talking anything to do with circus, you could find there.
Yep.
And then the clowns, so they had these bigger than life-size clowns, like bigger than a man-size clown. There was one that had to have been 12 feet tall. There was 3 clowns stacked that was over by the food area.
Yep, that was there by the food area.
And that one was...
It was motion activated too. It would light up and it would say something, but I can't remember now what it said, but it would laugh and it was motion activated. So I would have hate to have been near it when everybody got in there because, again, of the big crowd there was, I'm sure it never shut off.
There were like scary nuggets like that, that went off when you walked by in various areas. I found one on the back stairs when we were taking pictures. When you go up the stairs that we don't use, there was a clown there facing the upstairs.
I didn't see that.
Eyes moving, talking to.
Right.
So,
and then you go back to the very front. Well, it's actually the front of the building, but once you're in the club, it's actually the back of the building. They had it set up with popcorn and cotton candy, and there was an attendant there that was handing everything out.
So they had a popcorn container that was probably 5 feet tall,
right?
And with these big foam things that made it look like popcorn. And they had cotton candy, and then they had a bunch of
like spiders and stuff,
bugs and stuff. It was so gross. But we went back over there and got some. I got popcorn twice, and we didn't need cotton candy because guess what? I was the cotton candy.
You was the cotton candy, and you had a lot of it too. So the club opened up at 7:00. And there was already a huge line, like I'd mentioned, between at 6:30 when the line formed. By 7:00, the line was extremely long, and it didn't take long for people to start piling in. And music was already going. Everybody was getting their seats and getting everything set up. We was up in the white VIP,
which means we got a bird's eye view. We got to look down and see everything, because if you're down in the middle of it, by the time, say, 8:30, 9:00 rolled around, you wouldn't be able to see anything. We couldn't see. You would be like, it was so crazy. Everybody was having a good time. So there's no bad behavior. There's nothing inappropriate or whatever. It's a great place to go.
It's a great atmosphere, a great environment.
Right. It's just busy. It's like these events, they draw a crowd.
But all the playmakers and bartenders and the staff attendants, security guards, everybody was dressed to some circus theme or Halloween costume. And again, these are people that we know very well. And there was some that came up and you're like, who the hell is this?
I'm telling you,
it was great.
While it was awesome, it was so strange not instantly recognizing people, and they'd pull off their mask and go, ha ha, you didn't know who I was.
Yep.
Nope, I didn't.
Yep. But I did notice when I had my mask on walking around, people would kind of look just to try to figure out who I was.
Because yours only covered from your eyes down.
Right. You could only see about my eyes is the only thing that you could see. So there was a lot of people staring at me. And then I think seeing you right behind me, they was able to recognize who he was then.
Yeah, because my costume didn't hide me at all. No. Maybe next year that's what we do, and we go incognito.
Right. Maybe we should do that. So let's talk a little bit about our costumes. I dressed up as the Psycho Ringmaster.
Yes, you did. And what was I?
You went as my favorite fucking treat, which was cotton candy.
But your costume was not unique because
it was not.
Because great minds think alike, and the manager of Tempted, John, came in the exact same outfit.
He had the exact thing on. He did not wear his mask.
No, because we altered yours.
Yeah, we altered mine.
I'm a creative brain, and I'm like looking at it going, I think you can cut it.
But we had the identical costumes.
I was like, I could just change you guys up. I said, you guys can just switch up now.
Yep. We could have done that.
No, we couldn't, because there were 400 plus people.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Our costume was great. We had cotton candy, and we took some pictures. You'll be able to see it online.
Yes.
We had originally started creating the costumes and decided that my initial thought of using the stuffing for pillows and spray painting it wouldn't work, because we just didn't have enough time to create it completely. It would have looked more like cotton candy,
right,
but it still worked out great.
Everything still worked out. And again, there's some of the crazy costumes, and there was, again, over 400 people. So there was, and not everybody dressed up. There was a few people that just got tickets that came from out of state, so they didn't dress up. But of the 400 plus people, there was over 300 different costumes. I guarantee it.
Right.
And there is no way
for us to talk about
it. But some of the ones that really stood out the most one of our friends came as Hugh Hefner, and of course his wife was a Playboy bunny, but there was several other Playboy bunnies throughout the crowd that I noticed that night.
Yep, we saw a Hooters waitress.
Yep.
That resonated with me because back in the day, I was a Hooters waitress.
He was. And it was the exact Hooters, even the little brown tote bag that they carry. She even had that with her. So that was a great costume. Creepy clowns. There was so many creepy clowns.
And the staff was part of that too. So Steve from the club, he's security, was wearing this amazing clown costume. What made it different than all the rest?
Well, first of all, his makeup was, I believe it was professionally applied, because it was the best looking makeup I've ever seen anybody, a normal person, do. But what really made his stand out so much is he's got an extremely long beard. So what he'd done was he took like a styling gel or something to stiffen it, and he pulled it apart into like 6 different spikes, and they were all going different directions. So he had like, one coming out straight right and one kind of angled down a little bit. But
so there were 6 of them around his face that just
from
the chin, not from the head.
Right. He's bald, so there's no hair on his head. So it was all painted up, and again, looked amazing.
I don't even know how you made it go to that good of a point.
I don't know, but it was really
and
great.
Every time you saw him, you're like, wow, that's so cool and creepy.
Yeah,
it worked out really well.
I've got a picture of him. I was able to get his picture. So I'm gonna have his picture up on the website. Make sure and check out Steve from Club Tempted, and amazing idea.
So we also had somebody who was in VIP who was a walking red flag.
Yes, and that it took a minute to realize what she was. She wore a red dress, and she had this red flag that she was carrying. And I was going, what the hell? And then finally I read what was on her, and she had it spelled out, walking red flag. But the imagination to just come up with something like it, that was cool.
And we saw some mafia, both male and female mafia.
Yep. There was Little Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf. That was a pretty cool costume that they had.
Bunch of superheroes.
Yes. Our other friends, Chris and Mandy, who were on our podcast, they came as Adam and Eve from the Garden of Whedon, and they had little marijuana plants that they had. She had the pasties on. And then they both had the underwear that was supposed to be leaves, but it was a different kind of leaf. And it was, again, the creativity of what they come up with.
That was awesome. And then I was thinking maybe some of the policemen I saw with their asses hanging out needed to arrest our Adam and Eve.
From Whedon.
From Whedon.
Yep. There was a lot of first responders. We've seen police officers, firefighters, several nurses. Our friend Christina from one of our podcast interviews, she came dressed as a nurse and looked really freaking cute. Doctors.
Yeah, I saw an inappropriate gynecologist who was carrying around the little implement that they use to spread us.
Speculum.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And I only know that because it's on my wish list of things to buy.
Listen, you asked my doctor for it.
You can buy them off Amazon, just so you know.
One of the ones that I saw and I noticed was there was an Indian headdress, and this was from the top feathered all the way down to basically the person's ankles. And to me, there was both a male and a female, and it was beautiful. Like, this was very well done.
And I somehow completely missed that one. I did not stand out.
With as many people as we saw, there is so much that we missed.
Yeah. We did see a lot of Harley Quinns and Jokers, and I just got to say, I'm a Harley Quinn fan. Anybody that dresses up that can pull off that look, I think is just sexy as hell. I love the Harley Quinn get up, and I don't know why, but I do. It's sexy as hell.
Well, of course you like it. I don't know why. It's sexy.
Yeah, they are. If you dress up as Harley Quinn and pull it off, holy hell, you'll have my attention.
The Flintstones made an appearance.
Yes, they did. I seen Fred and Wilma.
Some of the cast of Scooby-Doo, too.
There was some Scooby-Doo characters. Velma. I remember seeing Velma, and I got to say, that's another one, the little nerdy look. Holy hell. Velma looked hot.
So there's a whole bunch of costumes that we didn't talk about, but they did do this amazing costume contest, which we missed. Just a heads up, we missed, but let's tell you. Let's tell you about what the costume contest was, some of the categories.
Yep. So the categories, they had the scariest, the sexiest, best couple, most original, and best overall.
We did end up in the dungeon because the judging had to have been past 11:30. I mean, we went to the dungeon pretty late, right?
Around normal time for us. We usually try to get in there between 11 and 12.
Right.
So we was in the dungeon, and I vaguely heard them say something about costume contest, but so yeah, we missed that.
We missed it, but I can tell you this, that the winner of the overall best costume was a Beetlejuice and a Lydia.
And I do remember seeing them, and it was a good costume.
And they won New Year's Eve tickets.
Yep.
So that's a big give, considering New Year's Eve is another one that sells crazy like.
Yep. New Year's Eve is usually a sellout, and Lydia and Beetlejuice, they won tickets. They're automatically going.
The dance floor was packed. So the DJ was DJ Evolution. He was rocking it. He was down there. The people were dancing. It was fun to watch from the bird's eye view.
Yes, I did not want to be down there in it.
In order to do the podcast, you're watching. You're not going to get too drunk. Not that we do usually, but you're really trying to see and experience so that we can share it with you.
Yes.
At 10 o'clock, right around?
Probably.
So that's about the time that everybody gets to change and stuff anyways. So it gets a little crazy with people flipping their outfits, like removing costumes and stuff and putting on their lingerie.
Well, one of their rules is there's no nudity on the dance floor or the main level of the club until after 10 o'clock. Now, second floor, VIP, playrooms, any of that, there's no rules up there. But if you're down on the dance floor, bar area, main floor level,
your nipples cannot be showing.
You cannot be naked until 10 o'clock. So everybody stayed in their costumes at least till 10. And then most people bring a second outfit to match the theme that's a little more revealing and shows off a little more. So yeah, it was around 10 o'clock, I think, when just all at once the music just halted. Stopped, dead silent, and everybody's looking around going, what the hell? And we all from VIP run over to the balcony to look down to see what's going on, and we see the security guards clearing the dance floor, and we thought, what the hell's going on here? And then they bring out 2 chairs.
They just set 2 chairs. They cleared it, set 2 chairs out.
So I'm thinking, okay, because they normally do, happy birthdays and stuff like that. So I'm thinking, okay, well, they must really have a couple of very important birthdays that they're going to stop this Halloween party for. But it wasn't a birthday.
It was a surprise entertainment event.
There was a burlesque show that they had put on.
Now, these are individuals we saw in a different burlesque show for that evening. It was a burlesque theme.
Yep.
And it was Rosie Flocks and Scarlet Rain.
Yep. And they came out and done their burlesque show. They had these LED, I'm going to call them floggers because they resemble a flogger. They've got a handle and they've got the falls, but the falls of this flogger is all LEDs, and they light up and they change colors, and they're spinning them and flipping them and done amazing work with those implements, and it was really sexy and
they
cool
were
as hell.
wrapping it around themselves. So they do basically a burlesque style dance, and it was awesome to watch. Thank goodness we were up at the top because everybody had been on the dance floor. Now you clear them off in the aisleways, and I'm short, people.
Yeah.
I could
you
not
would have had to be
seen,
in the front. You'd have had to be in front.
I would not have been able to see it. So from the VIP, we were looking down and able to see the whole performance.
Right.
And it was awesome. I'm so happy that they were able to do that.
Right. What did we do to kill our time in the VIP?
Well, I guess I'm considered the game master.
That's what
Game
what you've been called.
master.
That's what you've been titled.
So I created a couple games, and knowing that things move so fast at these events, there's just too much going on. People are overstimulated. You're down and you're running around. So I created 2 games. I got one game that was Steal the Boo, and you get a clothespin. It said Boo on it, and everybody in the VIP got one. And the objective was to steal it. But in order to steal it, you had to touch the person inappropriately, distracting them from the fact that you're going to steal it. Because if they realized that you were taking their clothespin, you had to give it back.
Right.
It was fun to watch.
Yep.
As soon as you stole one from our friend Dante, right?
Yes. So Dante and Zora, they're the ones that got to VIP and invited us up, and then
With friends of theirs.
Yep. And then asked you to be the game master with the game. So yes, we was playing that game, and Dante was dressed up as steampunk, and he had his cane in a holster on his back.
That cane was awesome. It has like a bird face or something on the front of it.
Oh, it was a great detail. I came up behind him and grabbed his cane that was on his back and just started pulling and tugging on it. And he kept trying to resist and kept trying to turn. So that's how I distracted him, took his clothespin, and I just turned and walked away. And it was several minutes later before he went, what happened to my clothespin? And I said, I took it.
And he said, you didn't touch me.
You didn't inappropriately touch me. I said, I was pulling on your stick. So I was able to get that from him. So I had 2 clothespins.
Right.
Up until we started playing the second game.
Oh, no. What happened? So the second game was Trick or Treat.
Yes.
And basically the trick card, you went up to somebody and you said trick or treat. The trick card had a task that they had to do, whatever it was.
Yep.
My trick card that I had to crawl around the second floor in a very feline manner. And so I just started, I'm the kind of person is like, okay, everybody. I was talking with a group of friends, people around. I said, everybody, look, wait, look at me. And I got on my hands and knees and I started going, meow, meow.
I seen you from across the VIP room. You was rubbing around on the leg of my lady Kay, who was standing over there with you. So I had a feeling you was doing that. But then the treat card.
So here's the thing. The trick card was the person doing the trick-or-treating got tricked into doing a task. The trick-or-treating part where you get a treat, the person giving you the card is doing this task. Okay. And for some people, getting a flogging is a treat, but for you, not so much.
Well, the first one that I went to.
Yep. We're going to back up to...
This is how I lost my 2 clothespins. I went to Chris to trick or treat.
Who is our friend, the one that I top sometimes?
Yes.
That Chris? Yeah.
And of course, he pulls out the fucking card that I have to do a striptease.
Because if you have 2 cards, you have a trick or a treat. I can choose which one to give you, because if I give you one and you choose not to do it, you forfeit the game. Nope. All your cards go to that person.
So he gave me one to striptease. Now, just for the record, I'm setting the record straight right here. I have never stripteased for a male in my life.
Yeah, but on Dante's birthday,
that wasn't a striptease.
Naked.
That wasn't a striptease. I had to strip naked and sing happy birthday. That was not a striptease.
There's these naked tasks.
Last night, I had to do a striptease, and I thought, this is my very first time of playing the trick-or-treat game. I'm not forfeiting now. Screw it. So I started doing my striptease.
Don't worry. All the women came over to watch, too.
So, well, yeah, luckily Mandy and Chris was sitting together, so I focused more on Mandy than I did Chris.
And then Zora came over to the other side, and then I came over.
Yep, and it drawed the attention of the other people that was up there. So I'm doing my striptease. I pull my jacket off. I take everything off, and I drop everything, and I
put my hand over it, and you knocked it away.
Because it had to be a striptease. I didn't want to take a chance of losing. So I done my part. I got my card. I put my clothes back on. And that's when I realized while out doing my striptease, somebody took my 2 damn clothespins off of my jacket after I'd done stripped it off. So I don't know who got them.
I believe it was Milady K, because she's the only one that was rocking around with like a
It
billion
probably
of
was.
them.
And then what did
She won in the end of the night.
And then what did my dumb ass do? I turned to Dante, trick or treat, and he smiles real big and he goes, "Hold on, I gotta get clarification from the game master." And I'm like, "God dang, what's this?" And then he goes to you, he makes sure it's legit, and he comes back and then he hands me the card where I have to receive flogging from Dante.
Yeah, but here's the thing. This is the thing. And at the time I was like, you threw those cards so fast, I couldn't even talk to you about it. You went, I'm not doing it.
I'm not receiving
But
a
here's
flogging.
the thing. The card says, because it's a treat, you could receive the flogging in exactly the way you want. So you could have said 1 strike as light as you can, and that is your thing. You made a choice, but you didn't. Like, I make my tasks, so there's usually some kind of hey, I didn't define it out completely, so you could find a way to make it not impossible.
I seen I was getting flogged and
went, nope.
I am not going to be a part of that.
And you know what? I just want you to know that after that, your face kind of fell. Like, I'm done trick-or-treating now, and I'm not happy because I just did this damn striptease for a man.
Yeah, I did the striptease for a man and then had to forfeit on the flogging. But again, it is what it is. It was a fun night. Everybody really enjoyed it. And again, the games for last night were set to be fast-paced.
Fast-paced.
And, at your own pace as well. And then Zora had set up an actual trick-or-treat for the people there. So everybody that wanted to attend, we made our own trick-or-treat bags. And then we kind of formed a line and went trick-or-treating from person to person.
That was awesome.
Yep. I know you was giving out cotton candy, which was really great. Cotton candy.
Out cotton candy.
And then I had, we had some blindfolds. So I found 2 small bottles of liquor, wrapped them.
Kinky liquor.
One was kinky and the other one was 99 something. I don't remember, but 2 small bottles of liquor wrapped in a blindfold. And then there was other treats, Fireball.
We haven't even gone through ours
I don't even
yet.
know what all I've got.
No, because we're here recording instead.
Yep.
And then the other thing is, at the club, the upstairs rooms last night, when you get this crazy, we went to the dungeon, which we've already mentioned.
We're always in the dungeon.
Oh, the dungeon play was fun last night.
It was.
You need to become a member of Club Tempted if you are not. I mean, if you're listening to our podcast and you're interested in this, you should come, because
you should at least experience it 3 times. And you will learn more from where that 3 time comes from in our interview with John and Tanya. But his philosophy makes sense. Right. Everybody says, I'll try anything once.
Yep.
And that's true. That's great that you try it once. But
you got to listen.
You need to listen to it, and you need to try it 3 times. So on to your point, yes, if you are not a member of Club Tempted, sign up, find a member. A member can get you in free on a Friday night. So you can see the club. Friday nights are not usually as busy. They do have some busier Friday nights than most. But Friday nights is just kind of get a tour of the club, see the atmosphere, get an understanding of the rules and what you can and can't do, and then come back for a Saturday. Saturdays, there's a lot more people. There's usually a lot more. They're themed more often on Saturdays. You should definitely experience it. The atmosphere, the people, the staff, everybody makes you feel warm and welcome from day one.
We went to the dungeon, which is on the 2nd floor, but the 3rd floor, and it just happened to be that way because they built out and they were able to build a bigger room, and there's enough room in there for 3 active play stations. So we were there last night, and I had gone up through the 3rd floor area, and it was packed. they had instituted a 30-minute timeline. Like, hey, don't stay in there for an hour because there's a lot of people waiting. And they have this huge lounge up there. That's where some of the demos.
That's where we do our demos for Swinger Society.
Yes. Well, next time we get to be on the dance floor. And then the outside of the lounge is the fishbowl room, and that fishbowl room had a lot of activity and a lot of people watching yesterday. There was crazy.
A lot of people. And any big events like that, you've always got people waiting, which again is why they say, hey, try to stick to 30 minutes. But which is one reason why I like going to the dungeon, because I don't know what we would do for the other 28 minutes if we actually went to a room.
Man, if that were true, I would not have married you. I'm just saying.
We would just lay in there and chill and TikTok, and you'd Facebook reel, and we'd do it for 28 minutes.
I love you. All right. So we were in the dungeon. We got to play yesterday.
Yes, we had a few people that wanted to come in. I had one frequent flyer. I love playing with her. She came in right off the bat, wanted to know if
she could schedule some time
later, but I just wasn't feeling it last night, and I said, there's not going to be a later. I'm here now. We can do it now.
Right.
Or you may not get me later.
And then you got
to play with a couple people.
Chris again.
Yep.
That was awesome. I always loved that, especially since I've gotten to know him well enough that I can push boundaries, where in the beginning I'm very careful with people because, again, if I don't know you, but Chris and I have played enough that when I know what I'm aiming for, and I know a pleasurable way to get him to say yellow. Like I bring him through this whole windy path, I think, of pleasure and pain up until the point where he says yellow.
Well, it's not only that. It's not only that you're getting to know him and comfortable with him, but you're also confident enough in him to know that he's going to safe word out if you go too far. And that's one of the big dynamics when you do start playing with somebody. Once you start understanding their body and their body language and how they move and how they, do what they do.
Right.
It's at first you don't know, are they enjoying it or is it hurting them? Some of the moves that they do, but once you get comfortable with them and get to know them.
Right.
The little side arches or the back arches or any of that, that they're truly enjoying it. It's
what
not
the
hurting.
Meaning is. Yes.
Right.
Well, and then Milady K was interested. So she's like, are you tired or do you want to go? I'm like, I'm ready. We'll go again. Yep. And so she and I got to play a little bit there too.
Yep,
so that was fun.
It was. It was
a good night.
It was a great night.
The club is amazing. And we just said it and we're going to say it again. If you are not part of the club, then I would definitely not recommend being your first night on one of those big events because they don't get you a real feel of the normal day of the club. We have nice events, nice size that 250, 300, you're good. 400 is a lot. And it's not like that every single weekend. So that's why Fridays are a good night to get your feet dipped into it and see what it's like. And you could see all the rooms and everything we're talking about. And if you know a member, they can bring you.
Absolutely.
Well, is this it? Are we done for the day?
I think
Master Nick?
I think we've done a pretty good job of kind of talking about the event and Club Tempted. Hopefully our listeners aren't tired of hearing about us talk about Club Tempted.
Well, this time we got to talk about it directly.
Yes.
We were talking about an event and then we're interviewing the managers, and that drops next week. So
Absolutely.
I hope you guys are happy and you have a great Halloween. Please follow, like, and share our podcast.
Make sure to visit thedomlife.com, where you can find pictures and other details about the Dom Life podcast. And through the Contact Us button, you can ask questions or provide recommendations for future episodes.
We want to explore your kink too.
Be sure to check out upcoming events to see where our adventures are taking us and our photo gallery to where we've been.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you had fun listening and learning with us.
Till next time, keep calm and remember your safe word.
Red, red, red.